We have been talking about the optimism that we're seeing in the marketplace for a few months now, but the numbers really haven't shown that there's been a significant difference in what's been going on in the real estate market until now. So we're going to talk about what is happening here in Southwest Florida, and at the end of this video, I actually am going to share some information that it's about a new program that one of the builders just unveiled that is one of the most incredible, actually I could say the most incredible incentive that I have seen in my 19 and a half years in real estate here in Florida. So you want to stick around for that for sure. So every month we talk about what's going on in Southwest Florida. So we talk about Lehigh County, which is Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Lehigh Acres, Estero, and Bonita Springs, as well as Collier County, which is primarily Naples and Marco Island. And this month is gonna be amazing. Wait till you hear it. So the first thing that we talk about is the number of closed sales that take place. Now this is single family homes. This is year over year. So I want to make sure that we understand that context. We have 358 that have sold in Collier County over the course of the past month. That's up 25% year over year. That's a significant growth, and we haven't seen that in quite some time. And then in Lehigh County, we have 1,113 that have sold, and that's up 14%. So the number of transactions in Collier, up 25%. The number of transactions in Lehigh County, up 14%. This is a really big deal. We've consistently, since 2021, seen the number of transactions decrease, and now we're seeing them increase. That is awesome, and I'm super stoked about that. Median sold price, $772,500 in Collier County. That is down 1% year over year. And then we're looking at $375,000 in Lehigh County. That is down 2% year over year. But keep in mind, last month that number was $370,000. So it's actually up $5,000 month over month. So that's heading in the right direction as well. Days on market, still 84 days on market is the average from the time that you go on the market until you get a contract in Collier. That's up 8% year over year. And then we're at 67 days on market in Lehigh County, which is up 18% year over year. So even though we're having more transactions, it doesn't mean that it's taking any less time. In fact, it's taking more time than it did last year. New listings, 443 in Collier County. That is down 3%. So a few less coming on the market, and then 1,532 in Lehigh County, and that's down 2%. So a few less listings coming on the market right now than they were last year. And then we have the pending inventory, 487 in Collier. That's up 2%, so slightly more pending inventory than we had last year. And then 1,430 in Lee, that is down 1%. So both of those are pretty similar to where we were last year. But again, the big factor here is the number of closings that took place, the increase in that. Now, month supply, we have 7.2 months of inventory in Collier County. That's up 8%, and then 6.7 months worth of inventory. That's up 16%. And so really, if you factor all of that in, I mean, we still are in a buyer's market. There's no question about that, that anything over, 5 months, 5 to 6 months, we consider a buyer's market. And we've seen a lot of price reductions. We've seen a lot of sellers creating new incentives, new opportunities with different interest rates, assumable mortgages. We've seen a lot of different factors that come into play to entice buyers, and it looks like it's starting to work. Now, one other factor I want to talk about is the total dollar volume. So if we take all of the homes that sold, multiplied by the price point, we had $480 million in Collier County of real estate that sold last month, single family homes. That's up 24% year over year. So again, that's 24% more money that's being pushed into the local economy. That's a great thing. And then $571.5 million in Lehigh County. That's up 20%. So whenever there's more money that's being injected into the local economy, that means some very good things overall. Now, here's what I will say about the overall inventory. If we look at all of Southwest Florida, currently we have about a little over 17,000 properties that are on the market, and we're starting to see that number grow, which we expect, right? This time of year, we expect as people are anticipating the snowbirds coming into town, as people are anticipating the high demand cycle that's coming up, they tend to put their homes on the market. And if they didn't sell, if they expired listings or withdrew them or possibly put them up for rent, they may consider putting the home back on the market as we get closer into season. So I would expect our inventory to grow, especially as we get into January, February. Leading up to that, that tends to be the highest amount of inventory that we have for the entire year. So I expect to see that trend continuing in the future. Now, one of the things that I mentioned previously was about the buyer's market. And I teased in the beginning of this video about the incentive that one of the builders has out there. It's really the best incentive that I have ever seen. So let me give you the details about that. Being that we are in a buyer's market, everybody who is a seller wants to be able to bring buyers to their homes, right? And the builders they operate in the same capacity. They want to be able to attract buyers to buy their product. One of the biggest builders in the country just came out with an extraordinary incentive for buyers. This is Lennar. Now, think what you may about Lennar, but this is an incredible program. So basically what it is, they are tying in FHA financing. If you're not familiar, FHA financing typically requires that you put at least 3.5% of a down payment down. And they have some very competitive rates in the overall market, but they also can have higher closing costs than normal. But what they're doing is they're pairing an FHA loan with a second mortgage to cover 100% of the down payment requirement. Now, that second mortgage also has some incentive to where when you pay on time, that disappears. It's forgiven within 3 years of the inception from the time that it is executed. That's a really big deal. It's essentially free money. And on top of that, Lennar in a lot of cases is covering the majority of the closing costs. And so what happens a lot of times is that those FHA loans, second mortgages, they have a lot of closing costs that are factored into it. Now, if the builder's paying for that, they're literally advertising that you can get into a home for $1. Which is absolutely incredible. I haven't seen that before. If you want to learn more about that particular program, or if you have any other questions about what's going on in the local real estate market, reach out. Me and my team would be honored to be able to serve you. We've been doing this for a very long time here in Southwest Florida. And so you can leave a comment below, but we're also going to put all of our contact details there. So do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, make sure that you have a blessed day. Thank you.